Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we continue our series making a case for each Primarch being the greatest, with the Primarch of the Raven Guard, Corax. A general spoiler warning to begin, as today we will be referencing events from across the Warhammer 40k universe, so you have been warned, and with that said, let's waste no time and just jump straight in. Now, Corax is a Primarch who most definitely flies under the radar somewhat, perhaps not receiving the recognition he deserves, and I'd say there's probably two main reasons for it. The first, clearly his method of war, a preference for guerrilla warfare, fighting from the shadows, ambush, shock assaults and tactical retreats. And the second, his completely humble attitude. The fact that he simply got on with the job, never once making a big song and dance for recognition, sulking because the Emperor's attention was elsewhere. However, overlooking Corax, not noticing him, all plays in perfectly to the Primarch he is, how he wants it to be. And the truth is, when you stop to look, you do realise the Raven Lord was absolutely elite. Let's start with that chosen method of war. There are none within the Imperium who can govern the shadows as well as the Raven Guard. Not the Alpha Legion, not the Night Lords. It is the Raven Guard's realm. So much so that it invoked a huge jealous streak within the Primarch Conrad Kurz, as revealed within his Primarch novel, The Night Haunter. Envy of his mastery lay behind my hatred. I hunted the night, but Corax owned it. Breath hissed through dagger teeth. He owned it. My stupid, short-sighted sons thought the Raven's abilities came from technology, given only to the 19th. I saw it was innate. Imagine what I could have done had you given the same gifts to me. How much more perfect a monster I would have been, had the Shadows loved me as much as they loved Corax. So, Corax and thus his sons had a unique gift and advantage that no other Primarch could match, and not one based on technology, but instead ingrained ability. And you can argue or debate its effectiveness within wide-scale war, but the fact is it was highly effective. Even after having his legion shattered by the betrayal of Istvan, Corax wreaked havoc behind enemy lines, causing huge disruption. If you haven't read Corax's installments within the Heresy series, you admittedly may not know, as it isn't mentioned much outside of them. But the War Master's advance on the throne world would have been far easier if it wasn't for Corax and his forces. And so, Corax played a pivotal role in the outcome of the heresy, despite his absence from the throne world. And that's made all the more impressive considering how devastated his legion was. No other Primarch could have been such a thorn in the traitor advance after suffering so severely. And that is a huge testament to Corax's ability. Corax also came to the salvation of the Space Wolves Legion and his brother Leman Russ, after Leman's suicidal charge to face the War Master. His legion was devastated and on its knees, with Russ left comatose and out the battle. It was Corax who saved them, being the reason that the Space Wolves still exist today, and that Russ lived to continue his duty to their father, undergoing the mysterious quest the Emperor sent him on. How many other Primarchs out there can say that they are the sole reason one of the other fabled first founding chapters continue to exist. Not many, I can tell you, let alone after their legion had been shattered to boot. And how about Corax defeating arguably the greatest Primarch tactician in Roboute Guilliman? Within Corax's Primarch novel, we saw the two going head to head in training campaigns, where Guilliman came out the victor. However, it was also revealed that Corax won the very first campaign between the two. And as we know, when it's not training, you only get one chance at war. So that's a huge win for Corax, and a big tick in his column as a commander. If he could beat and outsmart Guilliman, I think it's fair to say he could beat any of his brothers. And let's combine that with his ability as a warrior, because Corax was absolutely top tier. Aside from his victory over Guilliman, perhaps the best example we have is within the novel First Heretic, where Corax just batters Lorgar from pillar to post. Where it's made clear, Corax is just on a whole nother level, where Lorgar is only saved by the arrival of Conrad, forcing Corax to retreat rather than facing two Primarchs in battle, with his damaged war gear. And then of course we've seen the rematch, with Corax revealed to be hunting the traitor Primarchs within the Eye after the heresy, where even when facing a now demon-elevated Lorgar, Corax still comes out the clear victor, forcing Lorgar to flee back through a portal. The fact we haven't seen more of Corax unleashing his potential as a fighter is a crying shame, because he is, and deserves to be spoken of, as one of the very best. So, we've got a Primarch who, despite having his legion ravaged upon Istvan, still picked it up off the floor, and became a big problem for the traitor war effort, who solely is responsible for the survival of a fellow legion, and their Primarch, who has displayed the ability to beat the very best Primarch tacticians in a campaign situation, who is quite clearly a top tier close combat fighter, with a proven record. I mean, what more is there to say? How about having the Emperor's complete and utter trust? And if anything, clearly being one of the most favoured sons. Upon their very reunion, we saw the clear joy the Emperor had at finding Corax, and how he sat and talked with him for hours, answering any and all questions that Corax had. A real stark difference to most of the reunions we've seen the Emperor have. And then, most importantly, in the aftermath of Istvan, when Corax returned to the throne world to speak with his father, he actually received the Emperor's attention, a feat that no other Primarch returning to Terra did. Not Jagatai, not Leman Russ, not even the Angel Sanguinius. Yet the Emperor, despite being consumed upon the Golden Throne, did psychically speak to the Raven Lord. And within that conversation, we saw the Emperor confide most probably the greatest level of trust he ever had to a Primarch, in gifting him the secrets of the Primarch project, the keys for Corax to rebuild his legion. It was quite simply an unparalleled level of trust displayed by the Emperor, a sign that Corax truly was one of his most trusted and beloved sons. And at the end of the day, I can't think of a more appropriate sign of approval, a more notable recognition of Corax's greatness. For when the Emperor of Mankind clearly recognizes you as one of his greatest sons, who deserves a level of trust that no other would receive, well then who are we to argue? But as always everyone, what do you think? Does the Raven Lord get overlooked for his achievements? Did he in fact display the ability on every level throughout the heresy to be seen as the greatest? A Primarch deserving of far more recognition than he receives. Is the Emperor's unparalleled trust a sign of his greatness? And why do you think the Emperor appears to favour the Raven Lord so much? Or do you perhaps see flaws in Corax? And if so, why? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too? But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.